Hey everyone, welcome to the Autoimmune Dietitian YouTube channel. My name is Annie. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I have a private practice mainly focused on people struggling with autoimmune conditions. A lot of my patients experience things like pain, digestive issues, and just an overall reduced quality of life. So I like to use food and lifestyle as a way to help people feel better and improve their symptoms and really get their lives back. So today we are talking about food sensitivities, which is something that is quite common among the autoimmune community. And for those of you who don't know, they can actually make your disease symptoms worse. So these sensitivities can be pretty hard to figure out because the reactions are usually delayed and they mimic many symptoms that come with autoimmune diseases. So today I'm covering what food sensitivities are, how to figure them out, and why they are connected to autoimmune diseases. So before I jump in, I just need to attach my usual disclaimer that the information in today's talk is not the substitute for the diagnosis, treatment, or care of disease by a medical provider. This is for informational purposes only, so please consult your qualified health professional for any changes that you make to your medical care. Okay, so I'm going to take it a step back and talk about food reactions in general. There are 4 types of reactions that you can have to food. All of them have similar mechanisms, so they do get a little bit confusing. But when you eat, basically what happens is when you eat something that your immune system reacts to, it mounts a defense mechanism to protect your body. This defense mechanism mostly comes from your white blood cells, which include like your mast cells, your T cells, your macrophages, etc. Your white blood cells trigger the release of chemical mediators, and these mediators are what produce inflammation, again, as a way to protect your body against foreign invaders. These mediators are things that include histamines, which cause inflammation, cytokines, and prostaglandins, just to name a few. So there are 4 different types of reactions to food. Type 1 is your classic allergy reaction or allergic reaction. It involves an IgE. So basically, when you have an allergy, your body responds by producing IgE antibodies. These antibodies then travel to mast cells and release histamine. Reactions are immediate, and you see things like hives, rashes, swelling, and in the worst case scenario, anaphylactic shock. Type 3 is a food sensitivity that involves antibodies IgM and IgG, and the formation of antibody-antigen or antigen/food complexes. These typically are destroyed by macrophages and don't cause an issue, but sometimes when there's too many of them, like when you eat a lot of the food that you're reactive to, your body can't get rid of them all, and so they settle into your tissues. And when that happens, other white blood cells like basophils and neutrophils are recruited, and those release inflammatory cytokines and other chemical mediators. Type 4 is also a food sensitivity, but without an immune response. So no antibodies are involved. Basically what happens are T cells, which again are white blood cells, are sensitized and interact with other white blood cells that release inflammatory chemicals that cause inflammation. And then the last one is food intolerances. So these are considered more of a functional gastrointestinal problem. These occur when the body either lacks the proper enzymes or does not produce enough enzymes to break down, digest food. So large undigested particles then travel to your large intestine. The bacteria in your gut starts to ferment them. This causes gas, bloating, diarrhea, and some other unpleasant gastrointestinal symptoms. Common foods that individuals are intolerant to include cow's milk, wheat, food additives, food chemicals, and caffeine. So in the case of food sensitivities, again, either an immune response is activated or it's non-immune mediated, but your white blood cells are activated kind of in both. And it really kicks your immune system into gear. So this generally happens when specific food proteins or antigens squeeze their way through your intestinal lining wall lining, and the body recognizes this antigen as an invader and proceeds to attack it like it would with any, foreign object that gets into your circulation. When these white blood cells attack, they release pro-inflammatory chemicals or mediators to fight inflammation. Over time, continually ingesting this food causes the immune system to always be on attack. And this sustained inflammatory response causes white blood cells to again settle into surrounding tissues, and they cause even more damage. Okay, so how do you test for food sensitivities? here comes the tricky part, right? Because there's really no definitive way to diagnose a food sensitivity. There are plenty of testing kits on the market, but few truly look at all of the potential reactions to food and food chemicals. And so when I work with clients, there's two different methods that I use to uncover food sensitivities. The first one is the standard elimination diet. So this is, again, the traditional, very highly regarded, gold standard way to uncover food sensitivities, but it is the most time-consuming method. How it works is common food triggers are completely removed from the diet for a period of about 3 to 6 weeks, and then each food is reintroduced one at a time to test tolerance. The one problem with this method is that you make an assumption that typical non-triggering anti-inflammatory foods are safe to eat. For instance, if someone has a sensitivity to chicken and that's not removed, symptoms will not improve. So I actually encountered this in my own experience with food sensitivities. I discovered that I was reactive to maple syrup and tapioca, which is the, kind of the root of like cassava and arrowroot. And both of those foods are allowed on most elimination diets. So when I had done elimination diets in the past, I didn't really see much improvement. The other way that I help people uncover food sensitivities is by using a mediator release test, or the MRT test, and then followed up with the LEAP protocol. So this is a food sensitivity test, again, that I use with clients. I've had really good success at identifying food problems. And the reason why is because this tests for any chemical mediator that's released in response to a food protein. So it's not like an IgG or IgM test, which again can provide you kind of conflicting results. This looks for, just chemical mediators in general. So this test looks at 178 different foods and food chemicals and then ranks them on a reactivity scale and assigns them a number. So the more mediators that are released from the exposure to a food or food chemical, the higher reactivity score that food or food chemical receives. And then what you do is we have, once we get the test results back, we set up an elimination diet that's called the LEAP protocol, or the Lifestyle Eating and Performance protocol. And we start with the least reactive foods, pick a subset of those, and then, kind of add one new food at a time, work our way through the non-reactive foods to, hopefully, again, the goal is really to always expand the diet, be able to eat as many things as possible. The moderate and higher reactive foods we avoid for a period of either 3 or 6 months. And then they're, again, reintroduced or challenged to test tolerance, with the goal of being able to eat everything again at some point in time. The downside to this test is it doesn't test for intolerances like gluten or lactose, and it's not 100% accurate. There's always, 1 or 2 foods that I find with people who they test like low reactivity for, and then they end up having an issue with. For me, I discovered that tomatoes gave me major brain fog, but it was low on my reactive list. So no test is perfect, but it is helpful to, again, work with a professional who knows what they're doing to help walk through this process with you. Okay, so why is this important for managing autoimmune disease? You'd think it would only be like someone with digestive issues, but what's really interesting is that individuals with autoimmune diseases have a higher prevalence of food sensitivities, and identifying the foods that trigger an immune response and ultimately chronic inflammation is, in my opinion, a crucial step in managing symptoms and healing the body and hopefully achieving remission, which, again, I never promise to anyone because everyone is different, but, everyone wants to be in remission. They don't want to have symptoms. So my goal is always to get you as close to that as possible. Also remember that intestinal permeability is increased with autoimmune conditions, so the chance of large undigested food particles sneaking through the intestinal lining is a lot higher, which opens up the possibility of your body attacking those larger food particles. Okay, so just to recap, today we focused on the different types of food reactions. Remember, there are 4 different types of food reactions. We talked about the different ways we uncover food sensitivities, either by elimination diets or using the MRT test, which I use. And then again, it's important to know these because with autoimmune diseases, we do have a higher prevalence of them. So for those of you who would like more help managing your autoimmune diseases, you would like to maybe uncover some food sensitivities, or you're interested in doing the testing, I would love to chat with you. I offer free discovery calls, so you can go to my website or go to my link down at the bottom and click on that to schedule a free call. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I've got lots of other materials available for free on my website. I've got, a simple guide to detox. I've got my anti-inflammatory food list. So you can go to my website, annierubin.com, and download those. And then also I put out a weekly newsletter. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest in nutrition and autoimmune diseases, sign up for my newsletter. It comes to your inbox every Thursday. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. You will not hurt my feelings. If you liked the video today, please hit the little subscribe button. These come out about every week, always talking about something related to food and autoimmune diseases and lifestyle. So hopefully this will help you feel better. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more daily content there. So again, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.